Are you pro-choice?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just asking about
No,
the
that's
baby.
great. That's great. So I believe her body, her choice.
Right.
And so what I'm saying is I believe it all the way. I don't believe that we should legislate women's bodies after babies are born.
Okay.
So when a baby is born, we
So
force.
so you're more like after post birth.
Yeah, like a
Okay.
post-birth abortion.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but not actively. What I'm saying is that I'm not saying they can like strangle a baby. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying that like there's a woman in Ohio, Crystal Candelario, I think is her name. She is now being charged with life in prison because
Okay.
she left her baby to go on vacation for 10 days and the baby died.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is how can we legislate her body? Why should
Right.
she be forced by law to take care of the baby? I mean,
You can't.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, like I agree with you. Like I was just like.
Yeah, so
like-
you're saying that we should be allowed, if the woman, for her mental health, needs to leave that baby at home and let nature take its course, we should be allowed to do that.
Not that.
Oh.
No, like.
Well, in the case of Crystal, she's facing life in prison because she's being forced by law to
See,
use her body to take care of another body.
See, that's when it gets tricky for me. So see, I'm in a tricky place where I am fully pro-choice, but I don't know to what extent.
What's your name?
Emma. Is this going on TikTok? Where is this going?
Emma. Okay, my name is. This is a shtick.
Okay.
But let me come clean to you. Can I come clean to you right now?
Sure.
So I'm what's called an abolitionist. I believe that there's no reason that anyone should ever be allowed to murder anybody.
You
ever.
give off the liberal look really well.
Well,
Like you're really doing well with
except
this.
for my fake tattoos are kind of coming off.
I think it was more the piercings. and
Fake
everything.
piercing too. So.
Oh, really?
This is a whole get up.
I was like, damn, this man like really is getting like.
Committed.
No, I was
I'm
like,
a
you got it all
conservative. I'm a
together.
conservative dad, Emma.
No way.
I'm a conservative dad.
That's so
Okay.
fun. I mean, wait, is this interview going anywhere?
YouTube. I'm trying to show if we believe her body, her choice,
Yeah.
that means that it should be her body, her choice all the way until the baby can survive on its own.
I really thought what you were trying to do was saying that they went to the extreme, so you were gonna go to the other extreme to try to get your point across.
That's basically it.
So like I got the message, but then I was standing there, I was like,
This guy can't
does
be
he?
real.
I was like,
This
does
can't
he
be real.
really think like if I neglect my newborn, like I should not be at all like? feasible
Okay,
for that? I
so
was like,
so Emma, can we reason about this? Because you said you
Yes.
mentioned, you said I think you said 8 weeks was when you were saying that
I think
up
there
until
has,
8 weeks.
I think there has to be a cutoff.
I mean, I'll just break it down for you. You know why you're here?
In college or like here?
Here, you
I
said
was
you
here
could.
because I was confused.
That's true.
Yep,
And you were also here because God's providence put you in front of me
I suppose.
to talk about this,
I suppose.
to think about this.
I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, what I want to impart to you, you are valuable, Emma, because you are made in the image of God. God loves you.
Yeah.
He does. He also loves the little ones. Okay? And so I want you to think about that. You've done great. I appreciate your honesty, your attempt at consistency, and I want you to think about that illustration. If it's morally wrong to not be certain that there's no life in there, well, maybe it's morally wrong to not be certain and take the potentially what could be the life of another human. Just think about that,
I'll tell you. I will think about it. I will tell you that.
and I believe you. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Like the X'd out baby.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is are you pro-choice?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just asking about
No,
the
that's
baby.
great. That's great. So I believe her body, her choice.
Right.
And so what I'm saying is I believe it all the way. I don't believe that we should legislate women's bodies after babies are born.
Okay.
So when a
Yeah.
baby is born, we
So
force.
so you're more like after post birth.
Yeah, like a
Okay.
post-birth abortion.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but not actively. What I'm saying is that I'm not saying they can like strangle a baby. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying that like there's a woman in Ohio, Crystal Candelario, I think is her name. She is now being charged with life in prison because
Okay.
she left her baby to go on vacation for 10 days and the baby died.
Okay.
And so what I'm saying is how can we legislate her body? Why should
Right.
she be forced by law to take care of the baby? I mean,
You can't.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, like I agree with you. Like I was just like.
Yeah, so
I feel like-
you're saying that we should be allowed, if the woman, for her mental health, needs to leave that baby at home and let nature take its course, we should be allowed to do that.
Not that.
Oh.
No, like.
Well, in the case of Crystal, she's facing life in prison because she's being forced by law to
See,
use her body to take care of another body.
See, that's when it gets tricky for me because, like, at the same time, I think you have a responsibility, but also, like, why is it on the mother? Like, why is it on the father?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It
That's
shouldn't
what
be
I'm
on the mother.
saying.
It should. So, for example.
But is it on both then? Is it
No,
on
it should
both
be on
parties?
neither. Should be on neither. Because we shouldn't force people to use their body against their will. Currently, I'm being forced by law to use my body to pay child support for 2 little ones, and that's the law forcing me. And I'm not complaining. I've got male privilege. I get that. I was able to just leave. She's not able to just leave. I'm saying I'm
Right.
advocating for her, for Margaret, because she has these 2, like, kind of parasites that have kind of ruined her life. So what I'm saying is she should be allowed, if she wanted to just
So what
leave.
happens to the neglected child? Like, should it be where you're prisoned and you're punished if you don't give it up for, like, adoption?
No, I'm saying if
Like,
they
you can just
die,
leave
it's
it.
sad, but it shouldn't be illegal because we can't force women to use their bodies, or men. We shouldn't be forcing people to use their bodies at all. If we're going to be consistent about her body, her choice, That's all I'm saying.
I guess that's the very extremist.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is that's why
Right.
these people won. Is
They're
because they
also
were.
very extremist.
That's what I'm saying, but they
Right.
took it to the extremes, and we are kind
So
of moderating.
Are you trying to get your point across by going to the other extreme? Is that
No,
like what's...
my point is that this is unjust because
Okay.
women, it's not equality. I'm allowed to just leave, but women
Right.
are not allowed to just leave. How is that
I
equality?
think they can, but also at the same time, if the woman leaves or if the man leaves, that's a tricky argument.
That's what I'm saying.
But at the same time, like, morally, I just cannot imagine leaving a newborn. But at the same time, if the man can leave,
Why can't she leave?
but then it's a tricky argument of, like, who's at fault for that,
Well, I'm saying no one's at fault. Nature took its course. They weren't viable. They weren't able to survive on their own. You see what I'm saying?
I fully see
And
what
I don't
you're
think
saying.
most people
I'm
would
like
choose
trying
that.
to.
No,
I'm,
I don't think most women would choose that.
I'm
But I'm
trying
saying
to,
if they
like-
did, they shouldn't be condemned as monsters or something for it. I'm just saying, like in the case of Crystal, her mental health was degenerating and she needed to get away.
I feel like there should be some kind of punishment if you don't give it up for adoption.
But that's legislating women's bodies. That's what I'm saying. We can't do that. We're supposed to be the party that doesn't do that. That's what I'm saying.
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I would identify as a Republican. I'm still pro-choice.
Oh, interesting.
I'm pro-choice.
Okay. So you're pro-choice, Republican, Democrat. That's fine. I'm not. I'm more about this issue.
Right.
And so, but what I'm saying is, you're saying pro-choice, but what happens between, let's say, baby and womb?
Yep.
We can take care of the problem.
Yep.
You can abort it.
I don't think you should be able to abort it past the second trimester.
Oh, really? Okay.
No.
Why the second trimester?
I believe after, unless for medical reasons, I fully believe you should get for any reason a woman should be able to get an abortion. Okay, like whether you want to, medical.
She just hates babies.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
On the worst case
Do
scenario, they
that.
just hate
Worst case scenario, you hate kids.
Yeah.
I don't care.
babies. Okay.
I do think.
But then you're saying after this, at the second trimester,
I
that
do
should
think
stop?
past a certain point, you should not be able to get an abortion.
Okay, so what I'm trying to understand is why. What's the logic here?
I just think after a viable heartbeat,
Heartbeat. So you're saying that
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
But also at the same time, most of the time you don't know you're pregnant at 6 weeks.
That's right.
So see, I'm in a tricky place where I am fully pro-choice, but I don't know to what extent.
What's your name?
Emma. Is this going on TikTok? Where is this going?
Emma. Okay, my name is. This is a shtick.
Okay.
But let me come clean to you. Can I come clean to you right now?
Sure.
Okay. I'm actually very pro-life. In fact, I would be called an
Really?
abolitionist.
Really?
Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to be an object lesson.
I really in my mind, I was like, is this man messing with me?
Well, because
Is
it
this
seems crazy,
man-"
right?
It's when you were explaining like your
The position is insane.
morals, I was like, I understand.
You understand that that's the logical conclusion.
I understand where your logic came from. Morally, though, very fucked
Oh,
up.
of course.
Like
Horrible.
very, very. Fucked
Okay, so let me explain it. Can I explain it to you?
Yes, you can.
Okay, I'm not deceiving you anymore. Joshua, actually nice to meet you. Emma. Okay, I'm sorry for tricking you. Have you ever read the Bible? Are you a Christian or anything like that?
I am, yes.
Okay, so there's a story in the Bible. Do you remember David and Bathsheba? Have you heard of that story? So David is the
It's been a
king,
long time.
and he basically
Right, yeah.
he actually commits adultery with a woman, with another man's wife,
Okay.
and because he's the king, he can get away with it,
Yep.
and so he takes her for himself.
Okay.
Okay. And and then he even sends the husband off to battle to die because to absolve because he got her pregnant. Okay, so in that story, the prophet Samuel comes up and he tells him a story. He tells him a story about a rich man who takes the sheep of a poor man. The rich man had tons of sheep, and then there's a poor man who had one family lamb. Okay, and then Samuel says, and David, let me tell you what happened. Some guests came to town, and the rich man took that little one family lamb that they love so much and slaughtered it to eat for his guests. And David stood up and said, that is outrageous. Show me this man and he's getting the death penalty for this. This is horrible. And Samuel says, that's what you did with Bathsheba. You are that man. So that's what I'm trying to do here is, I'm trying to show, if we believe her body, her choice, that means that it should be her body, her choice all the way until the baby can survive on its own.
I really thought what you were trying to do was saying that they went to the extreme, so you were gonna go to the other extreme to try to get your point across.
That's basically it.
So I got the message, but then I was standing there, I was like,
this guy can't be real.
I was like, does he really think like if I neglect my newborn, like I should not be at all like feasible for that?
So Emma, can we reason about this? Because you said you mentioned, you said 8 weeks was when you were saying that up until 8 weeks.
I think there has to be a cutoff. I do not think you should be able to get an abortion past the second trimester or even past the first trimester. I think there has to be some kind of limit.
So what you're grasping at is, what is the standard? So the real question is, when does life begin? When is it a human life?
I think it begins at heartbeat. That's just my personal.
Okay, you believe it begins at heartbeat. And so,
I do.
Because let's just make sure we're on the same page. We can find common ground. If it's a human life, if we kill it, what's that called?
Murder.
Murder. Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. So I'm what's called an abolitionist. I believe that there's no reason that anyone should ever be allowed to murder anybody.
You
ever.
give off the liberal look really well.
Well,
like you're really doing well with
except
this.
for my fake tattoos are kind of coming off.
I think it was more the piercings. And
fake piercing too. So.
Really?
This is a whole get up.
I was like, damn, this man like really is getting like
committed.
No, I was.
I'm a conservative. I'm a conservative dad, Emma.
No way.
I'm a conservative dad.
That's so fun. I mean, wait, is this interview going anywhere?
YouTube.
Can my part not?
I'll tell you what, I can blur your face. You're doing a great job.
You can blur my face.
Okay, I'll blur your face.
I'll
blur your face and we didn't say your last name, so that's okay. We'll blur your face. I'm happy to do that.
That's all good with me because I was standing here and I was like trying to figure out like if you're fucking with me, I was like I could not figure it out, and so like that's gonna look really bad on YouTube. Yeah, because I was trying to.
No, you did a good job. You did a good job because you didn't just. There's people who have come up and said,
Don't tell me that.
People are signing this. Listen, this is what I'm telling you is that people have no standards. They don't They think that because it's the next cause, they're gonna sign their name. People are signing this.
That's crazy because I voted for Trump.
Sure. Okay. You got to say that quietly on a college campus. I don't know over there you fit in, but me too. Of course I did, because I'm a conservative dad. But listen. This is what I want you to think about. Yeah. It seems like you actually want to think about this.
I do. I love that. I sat there and I thought about what you're telling me.
I could tell that you were actually processing this.
I was thinking about it.
Here, if you'll hold that, if you don't mind. I can hold it for you. I can hold it for you.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay.
I was thinking about it.
It was obvious.
No matter how insane, because I was still thinking about it.
Totally insane. Totally insane. Now, this is what I want you to think about now.
Yes.
Please, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Okay, you said there needs to be a standard for when life begins.
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, who gets to decide that standard?
I don't know if that should be an executive decision.
Because
I definitely don't want to leave it up to the states, because right now, obviously, abortion is up to the states.
Abortion is up to the states. Well, I totally agree with you. I think from the top down, it should be restricted at every single level because if
abortion at all levels, no matter what time.
Let me ask you. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Do you know when? So I ask when life begins.
Okay.
If you Google it, what do you think it'll say? From scientifically.
It probably either says at heartbeat or conception.
Conception.
Yeah.
Fertilization.
Yep.
So life begins at fertilization. So what I'm saying is, at that point, did you know that you have everything that's going to make you, Emma, and me, Joshua, is my real name.
Yeah. What did you say your name was?
I think
I don't even remember.
Davin.
Because I was looking at this and I was like, I ignored your name and everything. I was like, what?
Yeah, my character is Davin Damien. He's a silly guy.
Do you debate college kids on?
This is my first time doing this. Yeah. I do have a YouTube channel.
You put on the best persona. You look like a die-hard liberal.
I went all the way. I even did a little fake neck tattoo and everything. So
I know. I was looking at you and I was like, well, your look. I was like, is this man being so dead ass right now about this conversation? I was really thinking about it. I was, because whatever you say to me, I was really gonna take.
You were
that and
actually
think
thinking about it,
it.
and I appreciate that. So what I want you to do is think about now. If scientifically, life begins at conception.
Yep.
What's it called when we take life?
Murder.
So the only consistent position on abortion is to recognize that it's a human being from conception. And why? And so, as a Christian, I would say that the reason that life is valuable. It's interesting because I get a lot of atheists coming up here saying we shouldn't be allowed to take human lives, and I ask them why, and they say, well, because it's wrong. So who says? If you don't
Definitely not an atheist.
yeah, you said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good because you can't really have an objective standard for morality if you don't have God. God is the lawgiver.
I think you definitely have morals if you're an atheist, but it's more from the self than I think from a higher being.
So it'd be subjective.
It would be, and whether, I guess you can't really call if they're ethically correct morals because you can't be ethically correct if it's from yourself.
That's exactly right. There's no standard.
I agree.
So
with
what
you
I'm saying, and what I would say is, an atheist can behave in a moral fashion, but they cannot give an account for their own morality. What I'm saying is, God has told us what is good and evil, and murdering, taking the life of an innocent human being, is evil. And we, as a country, are systematically doing that, and have been for decades now. 60 million. Imagine if I'm right, and life begins at conception. 60 million plus murders on, that's the worst genocide that's ever happened.
But do you agree? Okay, Charlie Kirk compared it to the Holocaust.
It is.
Earlier.
It's worse.
You agree with it?
It's worse than Holocaust and the slavery.
You think I'm going to use your words, taking the life of something that's not viable on its own is worse than taking the lives of humans that have already existed?
So I would say...
Do you think there's worse or better, or do you think they're on the same level?
That's a great question. So there are degrees of evil. Okay. There are degrees of sin. Okay. To kill somebody is bad.
Yep.
Sorry to get gratuitous, but to rape and then kill them is worse. To rape and then torture them for a year is worse than that. All of that is worse. And so there are gradations. So I would say the taking of an innocent human life in the womb is evil. That is the shedding of innocent blood. In fact, this is where they're supposed to be safest. This is where they're supposed to be nurtured and safe. And yet it's now more dangerous in some areas to be in the womb than it is to be in the most crime-ridden cities in America. It's more dangerous to be in the womb because of the statistics of how many women are killing their babies in the womb. And so, is it worse? I would say at some level, they're both very, very evil. On a pure numbers level, there's no question that 60 million is more than 6 million. So if you're just doing a numbers game of taking of innocent life, you've got that being far worse. But if you're talking about the suffering that goes along with it, which plays, so I would say they almost even out. Numbers, more evil. The actual suffering that was torture that was caused, also, let's just say both really evil.
Okay.
I think we could say that.
I would say probably after a heartbeat, which is where I said I believe that it shouldn't be happening. I would say,
So why heartbeat?
I just believe that's when, I still don't think the source is viable. I still don't think that the embryo is viable, the fetus is viable.
It's definitely not viable even outside the womb. If you leave it there, that's still we still make women use their bodies.
It is, but it can breathe on its own. It can function on its own. Can it do things on its own? No.
Well, there's a lot of people that are in comas that can't do things on their own. We shouldn't have the right to kill them.
I mean, do you believe in medically assisted suicide?
Definitely not. Definitely not. Because that's
we were just talking about that. That's why I asked.
Yeah. No, I think that's a fair question. I would say absolutely not, because we're playing God at that point.
Okay.
God is the one who gives life and takes it away. And when we start playing God, we get into eugenics territory really fast. What Hitler and the Nazis did when they were trying to craft the perfect human race. Do you know that in I believe it's Switzerland or the Netherlands, they don't have anyone with Down syndrome anymore. They've almost completely eliminated it.
Yeah.
Because they killed them all.
I think it's Norway?
It might be. I'll have to Google it. I should have had that on my mind. But what I'm saying is, why is that? Oh, they killed them all.
Yeah,
So this is what I'm talking about, eugenics. This is playing God. I think that's some pretty wicked stuff. To say, I
agree.
It's interesting how much we agree on. But I want to press you on that.
I genuinely think about what people are telling me.
You're great for that. Yeah. Many people just get mad and they stomp away. But what I'm saying, you seem a reasonable person.
After you told me about that, I was like, there ain't no way that we're doing this. I cannot have that on YouTube being like, yeah.
That's right. Okay, let me challenge you here. It seems like you don't know when life begins, but you're say maybe heartbeat. You're just kind of throwing out a guess.
I think that's a personal belief.
Okay, so scientifically, it's fertilization.
Okay.
If we Google it, we say, when does life begin? Human life begins at fertilization. Emma says heartbeat.
Emma says.
Yeah, so
Yep.
it says heartbeat. So at this point, Emma's denying the science. And just let's call it what it is, and that's what that is, because you can Google it. It is at fertilization.
Okay.
And so who's? I guess we say, why is Emma right and science not right? Isn't it crazy how many people sign this? Hopefully, it's no one you know.
You should. I don't think that's really sad.
Yeah, it's really sad. So
I agree that it is really, really sad.
But let's. So what I'm hoping, you are a very reasonable person.
I would think so.
Yes. So what I want you to see is that you have to consider, why is Emma right for that 8 weeks and science wrong? Because if science is right, we shouldn't be killing, anyone ever.
Okay.
And so, if that, it seems like it's kind of arbitrary, 8 weeks. Heartbeat, I feel like that.
I think that comes from personal belief of what I think, but.
Did you know that this is a great story? When Jesus was born, or when Mary was pregnant with Jesus.
Yep.
The Apostle Paul, his mother was pregnant with him. He's also in the belly. Whenever he came into contact in the womb, he jumped for joy because he was in the presence of a Savior. What I'm saying is, even in the womb, these are human beings, and at any point, there's no point in which we should be allowed to have special murder rights to kill them. It doesn't why would, I guess to turn it around, why would women have a special murder right before 8 weeks?
I genuinely think it does come down to the fact that wherever you believe life begins.
That's the question.
I think that's a debate.
That is I'm glad you know that. That's the key.
That is the debate. Like, when should that be cut off? When should you not be allowed to do that? That is part of the debate, but.
And so heartbeat for you is when it's a life.
I would say that's what I've always believed. Yeah.
Okay. But you're not sure.
I think it comes down. Okay,
This episode of the Reformation Red Pill podcast is brought to you by the No Other Name Conference. Join the future of Christendom at the No Other Name Conference, October 9th through 11th, 2025, in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Equip yourself with biblical truth to discern cults and counterfeit faiths like Mormonism, Islam, and atheism. Enjoy fellowship with Reformed Christians and hear from men like Jeff Durbin, Joel Saint, and more. Stand firm in Christ's truth. Visit futureofchristendom.org and use code REFORMATION for 10% off your registration. You're not going to want to miss this.
This isn't me, but I have a friend who works in the ICU, and she sees kids being born to meth addicts, crack addicts, people that don't even know what's going on. They're so heavily intoxicated, and it's really sad. And at that point, I really do think you should have the option, if you know that that's what you're going to do during your pregnancy. I truly think that you should have that option, but at the same time, you can't
option to kill the child?
I wouldn't call it, personally would not call it killing before heartbeat. I don't want to say that term, but.
I know it's uncomfortable, but it is a life.
I don't think it's uncomfortable. I think it's more of like what I was talking about, my personal belief, but. But at the same time, you can't make a law saying, like, if we think that you're too cracked out, then you can get it.
No,
it's hard to make legislation around it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The only way to solve this problem is to say no one has rights to kill anybody. Like, it doesn't matter at what point of stage of development you are, you have the right to life. You have the right to be alive. And so I think that women, even before, and you said 8 weeks, 6 weeks, a lot of women don't even know they're pregnant, like you were saying before.
Yeah.
So what
Most
I'm saying,
don't.
Most don't. And so honestly, if we adopted as a country your perspective right now, I mean, abortions would drop 90% or more if that were to happen. We'd adopt your. Now
my
I think
face is being blurred, right?
Your what?
My face is being blurred, right?
Bored?
Blurred.
Blurred. Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I would honestly think that's great if it went down that much. I really don't think that there should be abortions past a viable heartbeat. I think it's awful.
Well, I appreciate the consistency in saying that it's, because a lot of people don't want to go that far. Yeah, and even you are like, let's blur the face because this is unpopular.
I will stand strongly for what I believe in. Like, I got up here and I was like, I am pro-choice. I voted for Trump. Like, I will say all of that.
Yeah, good for you.
Like, if someone asks me that, I will tell them that. I'm like, I did vote for Trump. All of my friends hate on me for that. Do they know that? Yes. But
You're blurred. Yeah.
I did vote for them.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
It seems that this heartbeat, you said that's kind of what you feel is right.
Yes.
Okay, but there's obviously you don't know that that's when life begins. That's when you think, that's when you feel life begins. We can't.
That makes it sound like I just feel. I'm gonna say that's my personal belief.
It's your personal. That's what I mean. It's your
Yep.
personal belief.
Yep.
But you could be wrong.
I mean, I think that's like an opinion. Like, of course, I could be wrong.
I
guess.
The main point I'm trying to get at is you're uncertain when life begins, but you think it could be this. Because, I mean, life begins scientifically at fertilization. You're saying that it becomes important enough not to kill at 8 weeks.
I would think that was my moral standpoint.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm saying is you're not certain. So let me give you an illustration.
I thought you were about to ask me to sign that.
No, Emma. Let me give you an illustration.
Yes.
If I were to go into, let's say there's a building that sometimes homeless people go there
Okay.
and sleep.
Okay.
Not often. In fact, not really that often. We've found a couple over the
Okay.
last, couple of months.
Okay.
If I were to just, without asking, without looking, start throwing grenades in each of the rooms in the house, because I'm demolishing the building. We're just bringing the grenades, whatever. Let's say dynamite. We're demolishing the building.
Yep.
We don't go make sure that no one's in the room. We just, I'm not sure that no one's in the room. Probably not. Most of the time, no one's in there. But I'm uncertain. Would I be morally justified to destroy that building without making sure that no one's in the room?
I think that you'd be stupid if you just
I would say that would be morally wrong.
morally wrong.
Yeah, I think I have a responsibility to make sure that I'm not killing somebody.
I would say you're morally wrong for making sure that.
Now, so let's carry that over with you. So
Okay.
what I'm saying is if we're not certain when life begins, that's like blowing up the building without knowing for sure that there's no life there, because by your own admission, you could be a life in there.
I suppose.
Yeah. And so that I just want you to consider that,
Okay.
because you seem like I say, a reasonable person. I think that you could come onto the side of life. I really do. No, I really do. If you think about that, do I want to be a morally upright person to do what's good?
Just does come down to my morals and what I viewed as right. Because I am listening to you.
I know you are. And so, let me leave you with this, because I know you're a college student. You've got a life to live.
Yep.
What if God has told us what is right and wrong, and what if that is in His Word? See, most people don't have a reason for why humans are even valuable. Why was slavery
I'm
evil?
assuming you're talking about post the New Testament, correct?
Whole Bible.
Whole Bible.
I'm a whole Bible Christian. Unapologetically whole Bible.
Okay.
Now,
Oh.
quiet you. Let's turn that off.
Oh.
Now quiet down.
Oh. As long as my face is blurred out.
I will do that for you, happily.
Thank you, because
I hope you can tell that I'm a genuine person. I'm not, I played a trick. Okay, that was a little naughty, but
the X. I genuinely came up here to ask about the X on the baby, because I definitely, when I say I support the women's right to choose, yes. Do I support abortion? I think abortion's terrible. I really do.
Yeah.
But I would support a woman's right to choose, and so that's why I came up to the baby, and I was like, I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, that's just saying her.
I was just gonna ask about you. I wasn't even planning on
I know,
debating or
you've
anything.
done great.
I was genuinely wanting to know what was up.
So I'll just break it down for you. You know why you're here?
In college or here?
Here, you
I
said
was
you
here
could.
because I was confused.
That's true.
Yep.
And you were also here because God's providence put you in front of me
I suppose.
to talk about this,
I suppose.
to think about this.
I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, what I want to impart to you, you are valuable, Emma, because you are made in the image of God. God loves you.
Thank you.
He does. He also loves the little ones. Okay? And so I want you to think about that. You've done great. I appreciate your honesty, your attempt at consistency. And I want you to think about that illustration. If it's morally wrong to not be certain that there's no life in there, well, maybe it's morally wrong to not be certain and take the potentially what could be the life of another human. Just think about that.
I'll tell you. I will think about it. I will tell you that.
And I believe you.
I will. I've been thinking about it the whole time.
Last thing.
Yep.
Is there anything I pray for you about, Emma? Genuinely.
There's always something.
There's always something.
Always something.
It could be a family struggle. It could be a test you got this. This is just me and you.
I have an econ exam in 2 hours.
Happy to pray for you about that.
Thanks.
For good recall.
Thank you.
It was really great talking to you, Emma. All right. Yeah.